Alright, and I'm back with the next review out of DC Marvel Crossover Classics Volume 2. This time, we're moving on to the one I was actually personally most excited for, in concept, at least. I did hear about what it actually was beforehand, but I really wanted to see it. Was Superman and Silver Surfer, because out of all of these in this collection, they have the highest power level. Um, now, higher power level doesn't necessarily mean better or worse character, better or worse story, so long as things balance out. But, uh, yeah, I was ready for the most high scale, high stakes, whatever. Right? Um, let me just get to it real quick. So yeah, we got Superman, Silver Surfer. Now, think about all of the possible Superman, Silver Surfer villain combinations that could come with this. That could make the most thrilling kind of story with this crossover. Just on get the cat away from the keyboard. Just on Silver Surfer's side, you got the most obvious Galactus. You got Galactus's heralds like Terrax and whatever the really, really evil one is called. I don't remember his name. Excuse me. No, cat. Sorry, the cat's nosy. But anyway, yeah, you got Galactus, his heralds. You got Thanos. You got Mephisto. You could even throw a Nihilus in there if you wanted to. Alright? Now, I can understand not using someone like Mephisto because he's too synonymous with the more supernatural characters like Ghost Rider or Ghost Rider. Doctor Strange, I guess. But anyway, and yeah, Annihilus isn't particularly the Silver Surfer villain, especially in the days before Annihilation. I say this because this was written well before Annihilation, right? Excuse me. And at this point, he is mostly a Fantastic Four villain. But so was Silver Surfer. That's how Silver Surfer started. It's also how Black Panther and the Inhumans started, whereas Fantastic Four villains. But I digress. Ah, so yeah, that's like 5 directions, 5 villains that could have moved this story in any kind of direction. And on Superman's side, we got the obvious Dark Side, Brainiac, um, like Zod. You'd even like somehow Lex Luthor gets a hold of Silver Surfer's board somehow, you know, or even if you wanted Lobo, because if you think about it, if you think about it, Lobo would be like the perfect foil to the Silver Surfer, right? One is slick and clean. One is dirty and grungy. You know, okay, getting very literal. One is a surfer. The other is a biker. A surfer and a biker. They're as polar opposite as you can still get, while still having the commonality of being from space and riding a vehicle. Right? I just want to see them interact. You know, what their conversation would be. I would fund a buddy cop movie starring Silver Surfer and Lobo having to solve some kind of cosmic mystery. It's just, he would be the perfect anti-Silver Surfer foil character. But he's DC and he's Marvel, so Lobo so we have to make do with Lobo being the foil to Superman. Or the Omega Men, which he was made for, but I digress. But yeah, that is that's five villains on Superman's side, which could have also just twisted the story in any direction, right? Especially with combinations with Silver Surfer's whole, Silver Surfer's villains. Hundreds of possibilities, right? But the ones they actually chose, the villains they chose for this special one-time crossover event, we are never going to see these characters together again. For this one time special pairing. It's Mr. Mxyzptlk and Impossible Man, right? Now, I don't have a problem with Impossible Man, and I like Mr. Mxyzptlk well enough when he's used right, you know. Sometimes he kind of irks me the wrong way, but, excuse me. Sorry. But yeah, they're fine comedy antagonists. Impossible Man is like that stereotypical sitcom antagonist. If you've ever seen him in anything, he's like a sitcom character, just like this living cartoon that lives to annoy Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four. And Mr. Mxyzptlk is more of a... He's kind of like if a cosmic horror was played by Larry David, you know? He's like this... He's like if you combine freaking Nyarlathotep, Gilbert Gottfried, and Larry David. That's what you would get. And, I mean, this pairing of villains makes sense, you know. One is still Fantastic Four related, which I guess makes him somewhat Silver Surfer related. And one is Superman related, of course, one of his most famous Rogues Gallery members. And they're very much alike. You know, he lives to torment Superman with his annoying pranks. He lives to torment the Fantastic Four with his annoying shenanigans. So you got pranks and shenanigans. But the problem, there are two main problems with it, though. One comes from the fact that they're using the comedy pairing of villains for the one and only, I can't predict the future, but it's probably unlikely we'll ever see it again, so for right now it is the one and only Superman Silver Surfer crossover, right? The second and the most prominent problem with this whole crossover, because a lot of its elements are fine, but the biggest problem is that these two completely take over the story, right? It's not about them. It's about them. They don't team up. They team up. They don't fight. They fight. They don't go through any kind of character arcs or, conflict. They go through character arcs. They go through conflict. And the entire thing reads like it's just all about them. Like they are the writer's favorite characters in everything. But anyway, let's just go through it. And I've already gone on quite a bit, so I'll try to make this quick. So we start off with Superman flying above Metropolis, like normal. Saving the day, doing stuff. And we get this lady. Okay, she's not too important. She's like this new... I don't know if she was in any other comics at the time or if she was made up for this crossover, but she's like a secretary. She's like someone at LexCorp, And she's like this female, not as smart, not as intimidating Lex Luthor. She's like, I don't know. She's not Mercy Graves. I don't even think Mercy was made yet. I don't know. She may have been, but it's not Mercy, and it's not Lex Luthor. It's just some other chairman at LexCorp who hates Superman. And it's building her up as a villain in this. She's not real important or impressive, so yeah. Anyway, and we got Silver Surfer flying through space, flying through a sun, it's everything is all normal. He's spouting out his space Buddha speeches to himself like he normally does. When all of a sudden, Great Scott! By the gods of Sen-La! We get this weird composite picture, which doesn't look bad, actually. I mean, it's silly, but I think it's supposed to be silly. It really lines up the characters, I guess. Anyway, pop. And that pops them into each other's universes. But first, Superman is transported to what looks like Krypton. Right? And he thinks it's Krypton. Silver Surfer is just smashed right into Metropolis. Literally smashed. I mean, look at this. The contrast. Superman is fine. Everyone else around him is in peril. Everyone else here is fine. Silver Surfer just face plants into the concrete. But anyway, yeah. Superman thinks he's on Krypton in the past. But then, dun dun dun, guess who this is? Oh yeah. It's everyone's favorite Skrull. The Super Skrull. Meanwhile, Silver Surfer faces his mortal enemy, melting concrete. Saves a damsel in distress, whatever. Fights some LexCorp bots, whatever, none of it is important. Crashes into a glass thing, I guess. Meanwhile, Superman is having this big, epic, like freaking anime-style showdown with the Super Skrull, which, okay, I get it, alright? I know what all of you are saying, but Superman is way more powerful than a Super Skrull. I get it. But you gotta understand, in pretty much every crossover, and in pretty much everything ever, Superman's power level is always scaled either up or down to sort of just let there be conflict in the story. You know, sometimes he's more too, I don't know. Plus, it depends on the version, you know. Superman is, his power level varies greatly dependent on version, and I'm pretty sure this is a version made specifically for this story, but it doesn't matter anyway, because as epic as this battle is, it's not really Super Skrull. It's not really Super Skrull at all. Plus, Superman wins anyway, so whatever. It's, yeah, that's, spoiler alert, that's Impossible Man in disguise, who has been given a little bit of an amp by Mr. Mxyzptlk. So anyway, we get revealed, yeah, Silver Surfer was in the, bottled city of Metropolis, in the Fortress of Solitude. The reason being, Mr. Mxyzptlk shrunk down Metropolis and put it in a glass bottle a la Brainiac, and then just dumped Silver Surfer in there. He dodges some obstacles. Wait, for some reason, there's Batman's robot dinosaur and Giant Penny from the Batcave. I don't know why he's not in the Batcave. He's in the Fortress of Solitude. I don't know. Maybe Batmite decided to shed a little influence. But Batmite's not in this story. But, yeah. So, whatever. You can probably see where all this is going. They reveal themselves. Yeah. And, so basically, Mr. Mxyzptlk cannot stand Impossible Man. Like, Impossible Man, like, really likes Mr. Mxyzptlk. He, like, considers them brethren. But Mr. Mxyzptlk finds Impossible Man as annoying as everybody else views Mr. Mxyzptlk himself. So, and granted, they do kind of play up Impossible Man's manic behavior in this one. Just look at those faces. Ah, my poor low-res camera. But yeah. So, you know, blah, blah, blah. Superman is taken away from that planet, which was not really Krypton. Everybody was just disguised as Kryptonians. But, basically, a Skrull fleet is coming to wipe out that planet, and Superman's ported away. Right? Right. So, blah, blah, blah. What happened was Impossible Man and Mr. Mxyzptlk found each other and decided to have a bet. You know? Since Impossible Man was always... his fun was always spoiled... no, wait. Mr. Mxyzptlk, he was always thwarted, and his fun was always spoiled by Superman. So they have this weird wager between the universes. Like, Impossible Man is all like, I bet my universe's people are better than your universe's people. And Mr. Mxyzptlk is all like, oh yeah? Bring me your most stoic, your most self-confident, and emotionless person. I'm not ragging on Silver Surfer. Alright, I like Silver Surfer as much as the next guy, you know? But that is kind of part of his shtick. Or at least that's what he's saying. So they decide to trade. You know, Mr. Mxyzptlk is tasked with playing his usual tricks on Silver Surfer, Impossible Man annoying Superman. Now, the difference is, once the people on that planet who were disguised as Kryptonians, once they were actually starting to get hurt and in danger, Impossible Man called it off. He doesn't want anyone to get seriously hurt. He especially not civilians. He wants just clean fun and games. He doesn't want it to go too far. Mr. Mxyzptlk, on the other hand, is pretty psychopathic. He does not care. He does not care who has to get hurt or die in order for him to have his fun. Not that his fun relies on people dying or getting hurt, but he just doesn't care, you know. Any collateral damage is whatever in his eyes. Any casualties is whatever. He just wants to have his fun no matter what happens. So that's why Impossible Man is so angry right here, this cursed image. Not quite as cursed as that. Those faces are probably the most cursed I have ever seen. But so yeah, they're having a feud. So what happens is Mr. Mxyzptlk and Impossible Man get into this fight where they just transform into different characters from Marvel and DC and battle each other. Because, okay, you see here, you see Mr. Mjolnir face. That's the most iconic versus matchup combination, is just hammer face. We get Hulk Doomsday. We get, what is this? Thanos and Plastic Man, because those are the characters who are always compared to each other. Wonder Woman, don't think about it too much. And, he says here, Impossible Man may be the less psychopathic of the two, but he's certainly the more sexist. I didn't check who wrote this, but he says, you can't really read it, so I'll just read it out loud. A female? You think a woman stands a chance against the adamantium claws of Wolverine? just moving on a bit. We get Giant Man and Cyclops and the Atom. Orange and purple Batman versus green and purple Cyclops. I assume that's Hulk again. No, wait, that's Blob. That's definitely Blob. Mr. Miracle and Spider-Man. Namor and Aquaman. Aquaman and... I'm not sure whose hand that's actually supposed to be. Get Lobo and Thing. Then Impossible Man turns into Galactus and eats Mr. Mxyzptlk's Lobo. And then they explode. And blah, blah, blah. Superman and Silver Surfer team up, and they're like, hey, you two, cut it out. You're grounded. And they listen. And it's all called off. So in the end, Silver Surfer returns the city of Metropolis back to normal, and Superman helps intimidate the Skrull fleet, and then they shake hands. And that's the end. That is all. I'd like to remind you, that is 100% of Superman and Silver Surfer's interaction in this story. They didn't even meet until the last couple of pages. They were not even in physical contact with each other until the second to last panel in the epilogue. Okay, not the second to last panel, but second to last page. But in the epilogue, they didn't meet until the very end. Superman and Silver Surfer did not really team up. They did not fight. They didn't even meet until the end. That is how anticlimactic this is. The only Silver Surfer and Superman crossover so far and for the foreseeable future. And they don't even meet till the very end. They don't come to blows. They don't team up. They technically team up, but not very much. It is a Mr. Mxyzptlk and Impossible Man story. Superman and Silver Surfer just happen to be there. It's wasted potential, really. Luckily, though, there is a Silver Surfer Green Lantern crossover that I also have. I haven't finished it yet, but it seems to be way better than that. With Terrax and Cyborg Superman and Parallax and Thanos. There's also a Superman Fantastic Four that I also have. I haven't read it yet, but I know there's a moment in that story where Galactus turns Superman into his Golden Herald. So that should be exciting. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and I guess next time I'll talk about Batman Captain America, which is really the only one of these stories I legitimately fully enjoyed beyond the novelty. Like the others I still appreciate just for the novelty of it. DC Marvel crossover. This one I actually like. To use third grade terms, but yeah, with Captain America, Batman, of course the most obvious villain combination with those two heroes, Joker and Red Skull. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.